Hello! Welcome back to Buckle Up. My name's Jasper and this is a BYD Sealion 7 and no, before you ask, I have not been paid by BYD to make this. The Sealion 7 is BYD's latest Sporty-coupe SUV, and for me it's very much a car of two halves. Let me explain why. I say that because this car has got some excellent features, but it's also got a few big misses. Let's start with a positive though. I really like the styling of this car. The class this sits in is quite saturated, and this just manages to look effortlessly sensible and classy. I really like the design language at the front of the car. I love these headlamp clusters with this daytime running light and indicator strike underneath them. I like the subtle creasing in the bonnet. The BYD badging's pretty good. This section of the bumper and the grills down here is also excellent, and you've got some proper aerodynamic vents at the side. Overall, the styling of this vehicle just looks very proper and sensible. The great elements of BYD design continue at the side of the vehicle, where it's a very classic coupe type silhouette. I really like this strong haunch. I like the fact you've got pop-out door handles with keyless entry. They give the car a very sleek, sensible kind of look. I like the element of styling at the base of the doors here, and I love these 20-inch alloy wheels. I have got the mid-spec design trim. The base spec comfort comes with 19s, but this is, in my opinion, very worth the upgrade to the design because these alloys look excellent. Another thing that I do also really like is this paintwork. This is the standard colour, believe it or not. BYD call it Atlantis Grey, and I would call it blue. In the spirit of it being an SUV, you've obviously got some chunky black plastic cladding around your wheel arches, again making that look a little bit larger than it really is. And then back here on the driver's side, I have got my charging flap. In the UK market, comfort and design trims both come with an 82.5 kilowatt hour battery, which in this case will charge from 10 to 80% in 32 minutes at up to 150 kilowatts. If you go for the top spec excellence, that battery capacity jumps to north of 90 kilowatt hours and your charging speed up to 230 kilowatts, so 10 to 80% in 24 minutes. Very classy styling continues around the back, where I love BYD's ocean style of LED rear lighting. These little water droplet style bits of LED pixels look excellent at night or whenever they're illuminated. You'll also notice you've got quite a swoopy rear screen with a little bit of a boot spoiler, your third level brake light sitting up there, no rear wiper, and this little hint of a spoiler on the tail edge of the tailgate. You've got a large light bar across the back of the vehicle. You've got BYD here, BYD Sealion 7, and then 4.5S, which might give you a clue as to how fast this is. I don't really know why BYD feel the need to put BYD here and here, so this is the BYD Sealion 7, is it? And then over here I've got an all-wheel drive badge. There are some nice subtle creases too, some reflectors and some kind of fake grills, but yeah, I do really quite like the styling at the back of this car. The other thing I quite like is that all trim levels are very practical. So I've got a kick function boot, which is electrically operated, and the kick can be used to both open and close the boot, which is very handy, and the space back here is actually pretty decent for a coupe style SUV. All trim levels have the exact same size of boot, and it's covered with a nice roll-top parcel cover. This back here is 520 litres of space. It's pretty boxy, and you've got a pretty substantial false floor that does adjust to a couple of different heights, and there is a little bit of boot storage underneath that floor, and you've also got a 58 litre fruit up front. Back here it is pretty sensible. You've got a large Dynaudio subwoofer over on this side and then a net on this side. You've got a lamp, some additional Dynaudio speakers, and then back here you've also got some tie-down points and a little fold-out hook for a carrier bag. So, the back seats of the Sealion are a pretty spacious place to spend your time. I must say, I do wish these seat bases were ever so slightly higher, but I'm very conscious that in a coupe-styled vehicle, that would impede on headroom. If I pop that headrest up, you can see that I, at the princely height of 173 centimetres, do in fact have headroom still. My head does not quite touch the ceiling. If my hair were any taller, it would brush it. So somebody who is maybe 182 centimeters tall back here would probably be rubbing their head against the ceiling and maybe have to slouch a little bit. Thankfully, I've got acres of knee room behind my own driver's position. This is genuinely a very impressive vehicle when it comes to that element, and these seats in the front do move quite a long way forwards and backwards. The material on the seats is excellent. In both of the lower two trims you get a faux vegan leather, and it's very nice. You've got lovely flat sections, lovely sections with perforation and diamond stitching. Important to note, all trim levels of this car come with heated seats in the rear on the outer two sides, and you've got a fold down armrest for practical touches in the middle. This has got a little storage cubby in it and some very shallow cup holders, which, if I move my reusable bottle of water from the cup holder in the door card, these do hold things, but I wouldn't really trust them if I were driving dynamically. Everything feels really good. I love the contrast stitching and squidgy feeling soft touch bits at the top of the door cards. I like this pretty premium feeling plastic insert, and I absolutely adore the little Sealion flipper style handle to open the door. You do also have ISOFIX points on both of these outer seats, and they are very accessible, with the bars literally being hidden under flaps in the fabric. Up top, I've got a massive panoramic sunroof with a roller blind that is electric over it, and then I've got some pockets in the backs of the seats up here, and I've got two rear air vents. I do also have a little flip down section that's got two USB Type-C ports in it for charging devices. So overall, a pretty practical, very knee room spacious rear seating area, but could be better when it comes to headroom. But then again, it's a coupe. Up front, material quality is very much the same as it is in the back. So I've got lovely stitched, comfortable vegan leather all over these seats. Again, diamond stitching pattern. Similar contrast stitching up in the door cards with soft touch elements here, here, and down here for my armrest. That's mirrored over here in the center console too. Practicality is pretty decent as well, so I've got a large cubby here that's actually very deep, and I've got two cup holders here that are both height adjustable and go weirdly deep, like you could hide a whole can of drink in here if you wanted to. I don't really know why they go so deep, but yeah, okay, good feature. The centre console is a kind of floating affair, so there's a section up here with a wireless Qi charging pad on the left-hand side and space for another phone to be stored on the right-hand side. This is also a ventilated section for charging devices, so it will keep it cooler. Below all of that, I've got a larger cubby with a 12-volt socket and two USB Type-C charging ports down there as well, and then my air vents sit just above the phone charging section of this centre console here. Looking at the dashboard, it's again a really nice kind of cabin. BYD do very good interiors. The steering wheel's got nice vegan leather on it. I've got nice plastic, high quality elements on it, and I've got proper buttons on the steering wheel. Unfortunately, those buttons and this little panel here are where the proper buttons in this interior finish, because look at my laptop, Mum. It's on the dashboard. 15.6-inch infotainment screen, which is, of course, classic BYD rotatable. It's a bit of a gimmick. If you use the inbuilt sat-nav, it can show you a bit more of the road ahead. However, if you use Apple CarPlay, it will rotate back to this horizontal orientation because for some reason it doesn't support Apple CarPlay at the top and then BYD system at the bottom. That would be handy though. I must say this infotainment system is an improvement on some of the other BYD systems, in the sense that I have a shortcut to get directly back to Apple CarPlay, and in any other menu, this bar at the bottom of the screen is permanent. The climate controls are all in the screen, yes. You do have shortcut buttons down here to use the auto mode of the climate control, or turn it on and off, or demist your front windscreen, and then you've got your little gear selector, hazard lights, parking sensors, and auto hold over here. There are two toggle switches, one to change the drive mode and one to change the regenerative braking mode. You've got a button for park and then a rotary volume knob, which is very nice. Your climate controls are unfortunately all in the screen, as is the control for your heated and ventilated front seats and heated steering wheel. But BYD do the thing at least where a 3-finger swipe allows you to quickly adjust the temperature, and a 3-finger swipe from side to side allows you to adjust the fan speed if you are one of those people who doesn't like to use the auto mode on your climate functionality. The software is relatively slick and menus are easy enough to navigate, but there are a lot of different layers and it takes a little while to get through to what you want. And if you want to turn off some of the ADAS systems, you can thankfully save some shortcuts up in this section at the top, or if you don't do that, you have to kind of dive through several different pages of the settings and find out where it is and then scroll down and go, ah, right, it's here. I can turn it off there. I must say though that the screen display technology is excellent. It's a really crisp, clear display. The graphics are really good. And that's a similar case for the driver's display, which is another smaller digital screen. Again, pretty easy to navigate, and a couple of buttons on the steering wheel to swipe through the various different menu options. When it comes to other little bits of practicality, I've got large door bins which take my reusable bottle of water. That obviously fits in this cup holder and I can nearly make the whole thing disappear because of that height adjustability. Then the glove box is actually pretty decent. It's felt lined and damped. And I really do like the design of this cabin. There is quite a bit of gloss black plastic, so let's see how well that stacks up over time. But when it comes to fit and finish and everything in here, it is really very good. BYD definitely know how to do a good interior, but when it comes to how the Sealion drives, that is unfortunately for me the miss when it comes to this car. The driving experience is where things start to go slightly wrong for the Sealion. Now, it's not dreadful, it's not the end of the world. This car is absolutely fine. It's just it could be so much better. So as mentioned, I am in the mid-spec design. The design and the Excellence both come with all-wheel drive only. The difference between them is the Excellence comes with a bigger battery pack, and then you get actual leather. You can choose a different colour in the interior as well, for example. The main benefit of the Excellence though is the increased battery size, and that gives you a little bit more range. Both the design and the Excellence though come with the exact same power output, so that is 530 PS, 690 Newton meters of torque, and 0 to 62 in 4.5 seconds, which explains the 4.5S badge on the back of the car. Those figures are quite frankly brilliant. You know, when you look at this car versus its rivals, you're hard pressed to find one that's got as much power as this and accelerates as quickly as this. So that is a massive plus for the Sealion. That means from a pure performance perspective, the Sealion is genuinely very impressive. Unfortunately though, the pure performance perspective is slightly ruined when it comes to the vehicle's dynamics, because the power output of this vehicle is writing checks that dynamically the chassis cannot cash. And that is despite it really being something that should be pretty capable of good handling. You've got double wishbone suspension up front, you've got multi-link at the rear, and all trim levels come with adaptive damping. However, it's a little bit wayward in the corners, it doesn't handle particularly flatly, and then when you get onto the fact that the steering feels eerily disconnected, and even putting the steering in sports mode, yes, it makes it heavier, but I can still feel absolutely nothing about what the front of the car's doing. It just doesn't all really kind of gel together to make it a really engaging driving experience, which is still a bit of a shame because BYD can make a really good dynamic car. The Seal is excellent to drive. Yes, the steering in it is quite light, but the Seal as a whole, the chassis, is fantastic. Another reason why I'm slightly disappointed with the dynamics of this car is it comes with Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tyres on it. And again, it's just, the chassis isn't good enough to really make use of those. It's bloody fast, but it just doesn't quite all gel together. The other thing that's really odd is that you get a bit of a lag when you put your foot down, even in sport mode, and the brake pedal is oddly spongy as well. Another thing that's unfortunately not great is the suspension, because on poor road surfaces, the car feels almost quite bouncy. Now, the fact that it's quite a weighty thing, 2.5 tons, probably doesn't help there, but it kind of it jitters a little bit on surfaces. On motorways, it really does settle down quite nicely, and it's a very competent motorway cruiser. The only thing that is a little bit irritating when it comes to motorway driving is some of the ADAS systems. The intelligent cruise control is not great at keeping you centered in a lane, but the adaptive element of it is pretty good. The other thing you've got is a little driver attention monitor camera on this pillar up here, and if you spend too long looking in a mirror or glancing down at the dials, it does start chirruping at you. It's a very eager system when it comes to telling you off. The lane departure warning system though isn't too irritating, that's pretty decent, and if you're direct about going over a centre line to pass a parked car, it doesn't actually activate. Another area where the Sealion is unfortunately behind all of its rivals is when it comes to range and efficiency. You've got a big old battery pack in this, and yet the range of this one, the design, all-wheel drive, with 530 PS is only 283 miles. The WLTP claimed efficiency for that is 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which quite frankly isn't really good enough. One thing I will say though is I do actually think in the real world you will be able to achieve that efficiency. The cumulative efficiency that this car is displaying calculates out to 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour, and this will not have been driven particularly gently. So yes, it's got poor efficiency, but it is going to do what it says on the tin, I'd guess. It's just when you look at a rival such as, say, the Ford Capri, when you spec it up to be on price parity with this, you'll get another 90 odd miles out of the battery in the Ford Capri, according to WLTP figures. And that's really the final sticking point for me with this car. Historically, and with all of their other models, BYD do an excellent job of offering you an amazing interior, a great amount of tech, for a price that undercuts all of their main rivals. But the Sealion 7 just doesn't do that. This car that I'm in has a recommended on the road price of £52,000, and it's just too expensive for what's on offer, unfortunately. Yes, the interior is great, and I really like the amount of tech you get, but when you're missing stuff like proper climate controls, and it's just not going to go as far as its closest rivals, you kind of wonder where the money's going. So unless you can get this on a really, really good finance deal or get a good chunk knocked off the recommended retail price, it's quite difficult to recommend purely from a price perspective. Okay, so the Sealion 7. In summary, yes, it looks excellent. The technology and equipment levels you get are fantastic. It's not quite as good value for money as something like the Ford Capri, and when it comes to how it drives and how far it will drive, things like the Ford Capri do beat it. One massive plus of this car is that it's not a Tesla Model Y, so you can take that. If you do care about how your car drives, I'd urge you to look at rivals, but if you like how this looks and you aren't particularly fussed about the car's dynamics, this is a pretty good choice. It's not an overall miss from BYD, but there are a couple of areas that this car just could be better in. That is everything for today's video. So firstly, thank you very much for watching. Secondly, if you'd like to support the Buckle Up YouTube channel, there are a few different ways you can do that. Our social media are all linked in the video description. Please do go and follow us in one or all of those places. You can also check out our merchandise store, which is linked down there too, or if you'd like to donate in another way, you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. That's everything. I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.